Hello, everybody. So in this video, I'm going to explain what are the key determinants of the consumption function. Let me put it in a different way. So what are the key factors which affect your consumption? What are the factors which make your consumption this month a little bit high and maybe next month a little bit less? So this is what we are going to know in this video. So let's see here. So I already explained the gross domestic product in a previous video. So the gross domestic product is the same as the aggregate demand. So I already explained this formula. So you should be familiar with this formula, which is consumption equal consumption plus investment plus government spending, and this is the net export, which is X minus M. Okay, so this is the same as GDP. What I'm going to add in this video is, okay, so if the GDP is the summation of consumption and investment plus the government spending and the net export, but the question is, what are the key determinant of consumption and what are the key determinant of investment? So what make the consumption in a country higher than another country? What make the investment in country X is less than country Y? This is what I'm going to explain in this video. So let's start with consumption. What are the key determinants of consumption? What are the factors which affect your consumption? Okay, so let's see this. Okay, so this is the consumption function. So in order to understand what are the factors which affect the consumption, there is a very well-known function called Keynesian consumption function, which is this one here. So let me explain this formula. So C stands for consumption, as you know, so this is consumption, and A is an intercept or a constant, and Y is your disposable income, whatever net income you get from your job. Okay, so let's see. Let me explain this in more details. Can we plot this formula on XY axis? Yes. So let's put here on the X axis your income. And let's put here on the Y axis your consumption. So we have two factors here, consumption and income. According to this formula, so the key factor which affect your consumption is your income, which makes sense. So let me give an example. So for instance, if you are getting 5,000 from your job, so let's say this is Y. Okay, so Y here stands for the income. So let's say your total consumption will be 3,000. But what if you move to another job and now your income is higher, so your income is 7,000, so it's expected that you will spend more. So let's say your consumption is going to be 4,000 and so on. So this is your income. We're going to put these numbers on the x-axis here, and this is your consumption. So, and this is going to be your x-axis. Okay, so for instance, so if we put 5,000, so let's say this is 5,000. Okay, and this is 3,000. Okay, let's say this is point A. And point B, point B, if your income is 7,000, so let's say this is 7,000, your consumption will be 4,000. So you have 2 points, and we can connect these points. And as you can see, this line is called a consumption function, and it's positively sloped. What do you mean by positively sloped? It's going upward. What do you mean by going upward? So this means it makes sense that there's a positive relation between your income and consumption. Yes. So whenever your income increase, your consumption will increase. So that's why it's a positive relation. There's a positive relation between consumption and income. That's why the slope is positive. Okay, so now let me introduce another economic concept, which is called what? Which is called marginal propensity to consume. Whenever you hear the word marginal in any economics course, it means the change. So the marginal means the change. So, or simply, it is the slope. So the slope is what? You know that the slope of any straight line is a change in y over a change in x, right? Like this is your x and this is your y. This is the general formula for the slope. So if we apply this particular formula on in our case, so the y here is your income. Okay, I'm sorry, it's my bad. Let me repeat this. Okay, so the consumption is your y and your income is your x, right? Because the x is the independent variable and y is the dependent variable. So x affects y. Because we assume that income affects your consumption, not the other way. We don't expect that your consumption will affect your income, but the opposite is true. So your income affects your consumption. So again, so the slope equal the change in y over change in x. So the change in y is the change in consumption. So this is the change in consumption. And the change in x, which is the independent variable here, which is your income, which is change in y. Okay, so this is the formula here we have, and this is what we have here. So the slope of the consumption function equal the change in consumption divided by the change in income. And as I said, it's going to be positive. Okay, so this is the formula here we have. So marginal propensity to consume equal the change in consumption over change in income. So let's see example number 1 to understand, to better understand this formula. Okay, the question says between 06 and 07, consumption spending increased by 208 billion. So this is the change in consumption. So 208 billion. So this is the change in consumption. While disposable income, which is the Y, increased by 228 billion. So the change in Y equals 228 billion. So if you do the calculations, this will give you 0.191. So the marginal propensity to consume equals 0.91. What does this mean? This means for every 10 billion increase in your disposable income, your consumption will increase by 9.1. Let me explain it in an easier way. So if you have a marginal propensity to consume of 0.91, so for every additional $1 increase in income, your consumption will increase by 91 cents. Okay, so for every change or for every increase in your income by $1, your consumption will increase by 91 cents. This is the interpretation of marginal propensity to consume. Okay, we have another formula, which is what? Which is disposable income equals consumption plus saving. Okay, so what does this mean? Let me explain this formula using an example just to make it easier for you. So let's say if your income is 6,600 and you spend 6,680 on consumption, paying you pay like on paying your bills, rent, gas, whatever. So what is the difference? So 6,600, and so your consumption is more than your income. So your saving or the saving equals negative 80. Okay, what if your income is 6,800, but your consumption is 6,840? So your this saving is minus 40. So you have a shortage of 40. What if your income is 7,000, you are spending 7,000. So this means you are spending whatever you get from your income. So this means you don't have savings. So saving equals 0. Okay, so this is the formula which you have. So Y equal C plus S. So this is saving, this is consumption, this is your income. Okay, let's continue. If your income is 7,200 and you're spending only 7,160, now we start to save a little bit. So your saving will be plus 40. And then let's keep going. So if your income is 7,400 and you are spending 7,320, your saving will be 80, and then and so on, 120, 160, and then here we have 200. Okay, so I think now you understand what do you mean by this formula. So consumption, income equal consumption plus saving. Okay, so let's have another formula here. So I already explained that marginal propensity to consume is a change in consumption over a change in income, right? So we have another formula, which is marginal propensity to save, which is change in saving over change in income. So how did I get this formula? So basically, this is the formula we have, right? So if you multiply both sides by y, this is y, this is y, and this is y. So y over y equals 1. Change in consumption over change in y, this give you MPC. Change in saving over change in income, this give you MPS. Okay, so let's continue this question. So if disposable income were 7,400, so this is disposable income, the question asking about this income, how much would be saved? Okay, so just take the difference, income minus consumption. So 8 will be your saving. So the answer here will be 8. What is the break-even level of disposable income? What do I mean by this is whenever your disposable income is exactly equal your consumption. Here, so let's see number B. When your income is 7,000 and you spend 2,000, so this means there's no saving. So break-even level of disposable income can be defined by two different ways. Either when disposable income equals consumption or when saving equals 0. They are the same, because if this income equals consumption, this means your saving will be equal 0. Question number C, what is the economy's marginal propensity to consume? So again, the formula is a change in consumption divided by change in income. As you may notice, so the change in income is equal here in this question. So for instance, so let's take here the last two numbers. So what is the change in income here? The change in income is 200. What about the change in consumption? It's also equal, so which is 160. So let's see, let's do the math. So 160 over 200, so this give you 0.8. So the marginal propensity to consume equals 0.8. Let's see another question. Again, this is your income, this is your consumption. You can, let's continue this table. So the saving will be here 1,000. Here will be 1,400. Here will be 1,800. And here will be 2,200. And here will be 2,600. Okay, so the marginal propensity to consume, as a reminder, change in consumption divided by change in income. So the change in consumption here, again, you can take any two numbers. So the change in consumption here, so equals 600 divided by the change in income, which is equal 1,000. And this will give you 0.6. Okay, what about the marginal propensity to save? So marginal propensity to save, change in saving divided by change in income. So the change in saving equals here, so 400 divided by the change in income, which is 1,000. And this gives you 0.4. And as I said, so the MPC equals, so MPC equals 0.6 while MPS equals 0.4. So we said that MPC plus MPS should equals 1. And this is what you see in this question. So 0.6 plus 0.4. Okay, so okay, now let's see. This is the last thing in this video. So what are the non-income determinants? Like so far, when I explained the consumption function, I said, so C equals A plus B, Y, right? So in the consumption function, we focus only on the income, the main factor which affect your consumption. But is there any other factors? Which can affect your consumption? The answer is yes. So that's why we call it non-income determinants of consumption and saving. Like what? So let's see. These are the key factors. So your wealth, your household debt, your taxes, and the real interest rate. These are the 4 factors. Okay, you can imagine the relation between these factors and your consumption. So if your wealth is high, so definitely consumption will increase. So positive relation. If you have if you have like 100,000 debt, so your consumption will decrease. So negative relation. If you pay high taxes, you will consume less. So negative relation. If the interest rate is high or low, so let's say if declining interest rates increase the incentive to borrow and consume and reduce the incentive to save. So whenever interest is low, so if interest is low, so this means this will give you a more motive to consume more. So the consumption will increase. Okay, so against negative relation. So negative, 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 and here positive. Okay, so let's do this quick exercise. So development of consumer expectation that price will be higher in the future. So if you are expecting that prices, will be higher in the future, how this will affect your saving? So your saving will decline. Gradual shrinkage in the quantity of real assets owned by consumers. So how this will affect your saving? I'm sorry. So this question about saving. So positive. How increase in household borrowing will affect your saving? Negative. What about number D? Growing belief that disposable income will be lower in the future. So this will increase saving. Number E, expectation that there will be a current shortage of consumer goods. Negative, impact on saving. F, a rise in the actual level of disposable income. So none, because here we are focusing on the non-income determinant. So we focus only on the factors other than income. G, increase in household wealth. So this will decrease saving. Number H, development of a belief by consumer that the federal government can and will prevent recession in the future. So this will be a negative impact on saving because you will consume more. This is what I have for this video. So see you in the next video. Bye-bye.